Democrat politicians backpedal in the wake of the Biden document scandal. We see a whole slew of them hit the airwaves over the weekend, starting with Nancy Pelosi. We're going to also check in with Senator Coons. We've got Dick Durbin along with Joe Manchin, who all are sort of reversing course a little bit on their take on the Biden document saga. Starting with Nancy Pelosi. Pelosi was on with Chris Wallace, who is still at CNN, I think, until they fire him too. And he did something very interesting. He went back to the clip bank and he dragged up this old clip of Nancy Pelosi. And he said, you know, Nancy, you were pretty aggressive out there against old Trumpo. What's the current situation in your mind as it pertains to Biden?
Here's what you had to say about Donald Trump and his problems this summer. Take a look.
If the nature of this of these documents is what appears to be, this is very serious.
Yes.
Very serious.
Did you see her head nod? Look at her face, man. Look at this. She's got a cocked jaw a little bit. It's like a cocked. That's how serious she is, man. If these documents are what we think they are, we're all going to die. Let's listen.
This summer, take a look.
If the nature of this of these documents is what appears to be, this is very serious.
Very
serious.
Do you think that classified documents showing up in Joe Biden's office, home, 6 years after he was vice president, do you think that's also very serious?
Well, it depends on the nature of the documents. Yeah. What I said, as you were listening, was
I didn't hear
if
that.
The nature of these documents is what it appears to be. We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know. Just like you didn't know with Trump. But you look a lot less hysterical right here there, Nancy. Well, we don't know on that one. And it's a little bit different. Well, because they trust Joe Biden and they don't trust Trump. So we've got more reaction from the various senators. We've got Coons, we've got Durbin, and we've got Joe Manchin, who had a very interesting take. But let's first check in with our friends over at 4patriots.com, which is an amazing place and an amazing sponsor of this show, because I got to tell you the story about this. There's a tree branch, this tree happened to be in Ohio in 2003, and it broke and it hit a power line. It shut down 21 power plants. About 100 people died. Crazy story back in 2003. We now have a power grid in our country that was designed back in the 1800s, if you can believe it. Even the White House can see it. They're saying that 2/3 of the grid are at least 25 years old. And so they recently announced billions of dollars to update it. But how long is that going to take? That's why having your own solar power is more important now than ever. And you can get the Patriot Power Generator and get a solar generator that doesn't even need to install in your house because it's portable. You can take it with you, even use it inside. It's powerful enough for your phones, medical devices, even your fridge. And right now, you can go to 4patriots.com and use code Robert to get 10% off your first purchase on anything in the store, including this Patriot Power Generator. Look at this beauty. You'll get their famous guarantee for an entire year after your order, plus free shipping on anything over $97. And a portion of every sale is donated to charities who support our veterans and their families. And so you can go to 4patriots.com, use code Robert, start building your stockpile today, and get this beautiful, beautiful Patriot Power Generator. And you can also pick up some survival food so you don't starve to death while you're there. And support our friends at 4 Patriots. We turn our attention now to Senator Coons, a senator who has been a longtime Democrat, somebody who is very in favor of Democrats, and he is on a show on ABC. Coons gets asked about the Biden documents. Let's listen to what he says.
But how can he say he takes classified material seriously when some of what was found may have been in his home for more than a decade? And
that's the type of hysterical we want to see here on this show.
Seemingly had no idea.
Excellent question. Yes, we saw that same type of hysteria during the Trump Mar-a-Lago saga. I'm happy to see it now. Here, who is this woman?
But how can he say he takes classified material seriously when some of what was found may have been in his home for more than a decade?
Yes.
And he seemingly had no idea.
Yes, great question. And she's got that sort of tone in her voice. She's trying to make it sting.
Well, the important point there, Martha, is that he had no idea. As you know, if you're serving in the Senate or as vice president or president, you literally get millions of documents coming through your office week in and week out. And as you get more senior and as the matters that you're handling are more important and occasionally more classified, the volume gets higher. So
yeah, and sometimes you just shove them in a drawer somewhere. You're like, oh, gosh, this again?
I do think this was inadvertent. The whole point of having a special counsel is to ensure that and to give the American people confidence in that. But frankly, Martha, I also don't think this is an issue that's keeping Americans up at night.
Martha, Senator, come on, bro. You got to find the frequency in the room here. She was just doing the same, the same concern. She was just as concerned as she was with Trump. It's keeping her up at night, man. These are nuclear codes or something that could be floating around Hunter Biden's friend group. Now, he said something in here very interesting that the president didn't know about it. They keep going back to this. It's intent. It's intent. It's intent. And this was not the position that they had when it came to Trump. Trump, they said it was simple possession. They said it doesn't matter if it's declassified. The presidential records don't have anything to do with it. It's not applicable. It's simple possession of classified materials. That's it. That was the base layer. All of these whack jobs on Twitter were arguing this left and right. And in fact, I think that they maybe are not that wacky. I think the law actually does say that. And we talked about it with Bill Barr. We talked about all the risks to Trump and how ridiculous the law was and all of that stuff. They were the individuals who told us, no. This is, we need these laws to be this strict. We don't need intent. This is why. Who cares about intent? It's basically like a strict liability crime. If you do it, you're guilty. That's it. Because these secrets are so sacred and so safe. But now when their guy does it, they drag out that old intent thing. Right. And we are very familiar with this intent because we said that when it comes to the obstruction charge, when we went through the Trump affidavit, there were 3 different documents or 3 different charges that we reviewed. One of them was the obstruction charge. The other 2 were the simple possession of DNI, right? Defense, and whatever it was. And now they're trying to flip that around again. And I think ultimately this is where we're going to see it. If they do decide to charge Trump, which I think is getting less and less likely by the day. Every time there's another batch of documents, it's a lot less likely Trump has any consequences from this thing. But if they are able to do it, it's going to be based on this intent. They're going to try to bifurcate the two. They're going to make the Biden situation, they wouldn't charge either one of them with simple possession crimes, but they would charge Trump with obstruction, Biden without obstruction. But again, I don't even know that they can get away with that. They'll look so bad. Let's see what other senators have to say about this. We turn our attention now to Dick Durbin. Senator Dick Durbin is asked about this. And, there are 2 different parallel special prosecutors going on literally right now. Are there double standards? And what should happen here, Senator?
I want to play something that you said last year about the classified documents found at his Mar-a-Lago resort.
It's an outrage. It is a literal outrage for the president to take this important information down to his home in Florida and then store it in a closet.
Unbelievable.
With traffic, people back and forth in his resort and golf course is an outrage.
Outrage.
Is it also an outrage for the current president to have what appears to be multiple classified documents in multiple locations?
4 batches?
At its heart, the issue is the same. Those documents should not have been in the personal possession of either Joe Biden or Donald Trump.
Wow.
But what happened and followed from it is significantly different.
Oh, okay. What happened afterwards is significantly different. You see how they're splitting that a little bit? He's going to say afterwards it was obstruction for Trump, but not for Joe. That's why Trump should be prosecuted, but Joe should not. Now, again, this is 2 for 2 on this one. Chris Wallace just gave Nancy Pelosi the old political backhand by playing her prior clips. This woman on CNN is doing the same thing with Dick Durbin. What's going on here? Why are they making them eat their own words on this one? We'll have to wait and see. Our final clip here today is from Joe Manchin. And Joe Manchin has been raising some eyebrows, talking about a potential presidential run or a potential sort of moderate caucus within the Senate. You could have him join with Kyrsten Sinema. And now you might have sort of a 49 to 48 to 2, or whatever the numbers are. Do the math. I don't do them, here. But whatever the numbers are, I think, because if he was an independent, that would be Kyrsten, or is Bernie Sanders also an independent still? I don't know who it is. But the point is, if there was a group of senators that could break the Senate majority, and if Manchin and Sinema and maybe Bernie or whoever else is a senator, if they could create this caucus, then that would be very, very interesting. And it sounds like he's maybe flirting with that idea here in a minute.
Welcome back.
Chuck, it's always good to be with you.
Look, I want to get into the debt ceiling. I want to get into all this stuff, but we got some developments overnight with this classified documents. An FBI search. White House said it was coordinated with the FBI, but we now had an FBI search into former President Trump's. Now we have an FBI search into President Biden's residence. What's your assessment of how the president has handled this situation?
Well, I mean, it's just hard to believe that in the United States of America we have a former president and a current president. They're basically in the same situation. How does this happen? Only thing I can tell you, Chuck, is when I go into the SCIF with the secured documents, they always ask, are you clean when you walk out? Yeah. They want to make sure you're not carrying anything out. And it might be a mistake. You might just put it in your other papers, but you double check right there. So that, to be held accountable and responsible is what we all are. And to put those in unsecured spaces is irresponsible.
Do you see similarities, or do you see more differences in how President Trump versus how President Biden
I'm not going to make that
it?
decision, but I think that Merrick Garland did the right thing by putting a special counsel.
You do.
Wow.
And I think that we should wait until the special counsel rather than making this a political circus. Let them
Too late for that, buddy boy.
What was one more damaging? Are they both about the same? Did not cause any problem? Or is one more reckless and irresponsible than the other? I can't answer that question, but I think the special counsel will do a better job than the politicians and the political circus that is going to follow.
President Biden said he had no regrets in how he handled this. Do you have any advice for him on how he should handle this?
Oh, I think he should have a lot of regrets. Yeah, I would think that. I said whoever's responsible
should have disclosed it,
accountable, and I use whether it be my chief of staff or my staff that we're doing this, and I'm looking at. Then I'm going to hold someone accountable. But basically, the buck stops with me.
So you think he should be out there and look? I messed up. Maybe I didn't do it. Just say it. Just fall on your sword here.
We're all human. Yeah. We make mistakes. I can tell you, I don't think anyone intended. He sure didn't intend for it to fall in the wrong hands and use it against our country. I know they didn't intend that to happen. Could it have happened? I don't know. And yeah, you just might as well say, listen, it's irresponsible. It was something that we should have had a better check and balance on.
Now,
yikes. So
former President Trump defied a subpoena. So in that sense, the way each has handled it is different. Do you acknowledge that?
Absolutely, much different than the other.
Okay, yeah, good job there.
I hope I didn't make any mistakes. Right. I hope no one was compromised.
Yeah, good job. He wants to make sure that he can make a distinction between Trump and Biden. Biden should be prosecuted, right? I'm sorry, Trump should be prosecuted, right? Because Trump did something worse. He ignored a subpoena, and Joe Biden's been very cooperative, and so Trump should be executed with the death penalty, but Biden is perfectly fine. We will, of course, continue to cover it. Thank you for liking this video wherever it is you're watching it. Thank you for subscribing. If you'd love to join us, we do the daily live stream. We'd love to have you come back by hitting that subscribe button and sticking around.